Welcome to it, sports fans. Day 7 of the 10th month of COVID 2020 in October, huh? How about that? How about that? We made it. We survived. Listen, this international break, by the way, is the biggest waste in the history of sport. Let's just start there. Like, international football's dead. I don't know anybody that enjoys watching international football, but let that be that. So, good evening to you. I'm MKT. This is the MKT Show. Good to be with you. Again, it is Wednesday. 2 more shows this week, excluding today. 3 more, including today. Thanks for joining me tonight. Otherwise, hey, listen, if you like the show, like, share, subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend. If you don't like the show, don't tell anyone. Just act like this didn't happen, and your life just moves on. So tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about, listen, it's all Premier League all the time at the moment. We got a bit of, people ask me, when are you going to talk about some cricket? And I say, I don't watch T20 cricket. Quite frankly, I think cricket's in the dumps. We'll talk a bit of rugby next week. We've got a bit of rugby coming back. So once we have Test cricket back, I'll talk about it. We'll talk a little bit of all of that next week. But otherwise, at the moment, we're going to talk all Premier League all the time. I'm going to give you my thoughts today on why I think teams fall apart. And I'm going to give you 4 teams with an identity crisis. And if they don't get it right, I think it's going to be a real problem. And I think there's one team in particular who, if they stick to it, are going to be a problem for the league. Listen, them winning the league could be the biggest shock, but I wouldn't be shocked if Mourinho gets the order right and if the player is willing to humble themselves. Everything's about order. They say, the famous saying is law is order, right? And good law is good order. So once again, I keep using this. I keep going back to this. I know we live in a Montessori time. Everybody wants to express themselves. Everybody wants to feel a part of it. Everybody wants to. When you get to the sharp end of business, the problem is most of our lives happen in comfort, right? So if you're at home, your daughter, your son, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, most decisions you make in life are generally with no pressure on. Right? Should we move here? Should we move there? We kind of got 2 weeks, 3 weeks to think about it. When you're in the pressure cooker, is then you go to your default setting. Now, it's psychology 101, right? If you want to see who somebody is, you put them under emotional stress. If you really want to see who somebody is, I don't mean like, people talk about themselves on Twitter and we know what Instagram influencers are, but if you want to see, and this happens in people's lives, right? Is if you want to see what your partner's really like, is once the relationship's got financial pressure, then you see what you're dealing with. When things are hunky-dory, 2 jobs, no kids, you're going on 2 holidays a year, it's all good because you're not making decisions under pressure. When the pressure comes, people revert to their default. And this is why I believe these clubs need to get it right, and they need to get it right now. I believe one manager will get it right, and I think it'll be a problem for the league. I think there's one manager who has got it right, who I can tell you up front. I think Carlo Ancelotti has got the pecking order right, and it's very, very clear when you watch Everton. It's not everybody doing their own thing. Is no matter what, the ball must go to James Rodriguez when he's available at all times. It doesn't matter if you're through on goal. It almost looks like the ball goes to James Rodriguez. He'll decide what the best decision is. And this is really, really important. There's a reason why Berkshire Hathaway have Buffett, a CFO, a COO, right? The reason you have these things isn't because companies want to see him big time. And I know now we live in the startup era, no positions. I think it's nonsense. I deal with a lot of high power people and they believe in positions and there's a reason. Is that when things go wrong, people need to know who's at fault. It's the only way you fix things. The sort of fluid, everybody does a little bit here, it's nonsense. Get the pecking order in, and it must be clear. As a Chelsea fan, I was encouraged when Azpilicueta took the ball away from Tammy Abraham. It told me this club's serious, and we've got the pecking order. Now, I've got my problems with Lampard, but at least he's got that right. But let's get into it. I want to start with Tottenham first and foremost. Because I think if they get it right, and this is probably the toughest one in the league to get right, because of what the media has done and ultimately what the player has done. Mourinho has to get this right. So before I get to the Tottenham example, the prelude to this is it's the one the great Sir Bobby Robson never got right. It's the one Kevin Keegan never got right. It's the one Newcastle never got right. Alan Shearer, his only concern was getting 30 goals a season. By the way, the famous I would love it speech by Kevin Keegan, they should have walked the league that season. It should never have been close. They were 12 points up with 7 to play, I think it was. They should have walked the season. But when you have Shearer and Shearer says, I just want all the goals. It doesn't matter if I'm the best player. That's not the point. Is I want the goals. I'm the king. I'm number 9. No. You know what that tells me? No self-awareness. And you can't have your leader not be self-aware. Right? And you saw the polarity. You know what happened? Is you saw what self-aware looked like, because you saw Andy Cole go to Manchester United from Newcastle. Oh, I'm not going to win here. This isn't a winning culture. There's no order. It's all chaos. He gets to Man United. He gets Dwight York. You saw Andy Cole's numbers come down. Trophies go up. Cole numbers come. What does that say? I'm self-aware. Oh, Dwight York's clearly a better player than me. At least on my level. Right? That was Andy Cole's decision. You saw his goal numbers come down. York, we spread the love. Treble. Self-awareness, people. Your best players have to be self-aware, but it has to start at the top. Now, for me, here's what Spurs have to do, and it needs to be clear, right? Bale's your number 1 player. Son is your number 2 player, and Harry Kane is your number 3 option. So, Harry, let's bring the goals down from 30 in the league season. Harry Kane getting 20 goals and accepting that in and around that number means he's doing his job. What you want is really Harry Kane holding the ball up. He should be playing with back to goal and not trying to run off the last man's shoulder, because he's not the best player. It's not why the best way they function. And you know how I know that? If you're a Spurs fan, be honest. When Kane's out the team and Son's playing, it's like, oh no, that's a different level. That's different. Even now, I think they've switched it up, and Kane's even admitted. Son's the best player. But now you got Gareth Bale. That's a different animal. Gareth Bale's a different animal, folks. So get the pecking order clear, because when you're 1-0 down at Burnley in the 85th minute, it needs to be clear where the ball needs to go. You can't have everyone doing their own thing, because when the pressure comes, that's not the time for structure to be made. That's called a reactionary behavior. And listen, McDonald's, Apple, they're not at the top because they react. Tim Cook has 5-year plans, and there's people being trained right now to be the next CFO. It has to be clear. It's brutal at the top. Winning's not for everybody. If you want to win, have a plan. Have a plan. It goes Bale, Son, Kane is the 3rd best option. That's just an ability thing. It's clear now. If you've been watching, Harry Kane's been getting 30 goals for how many seasons? How many titles? Goose egg. So you can be Alan Shearer and go and get 600 and 260 goals in the league, but you win nothing. You win nothing. And if you want the example of Shearer, people think I hate Alan Shearer. I don't. But when he went to Blackburn, and then you had Sutton, and you had Tim Sherwood, it was Tim Sherwood's team. Shearer, now you can go and do what you do. All right, but you're not the center of the team. People think Shearer was the center of the team. Tim Sherwood, Sutton with the center of that. Great. That was an unbelievable Blackburn season, by the way. But you got to get some honesty. Kenny Dalglish came in there and he's like, no. Tim Sherwood's the leader. Sutton's probably the most talented of the whole lot. Shearer's the finisher. The icing on the cake. Bale, Son, Kane, in that order. If it doesn't work that way, Tottenham might not even make top 4. I predicted them to make top 4, but you've got to get that hierarchy right. Second, my team, Chelsea. Get the hierarchy right now, because Lampard's starting to struggle, because the first season he managed on I'm a legend, but that wanes. Top players don't care about that. Show us what you are. Because you can lie to media, you can lie to us on Twitter. The one thing you can't do is lie to players, especially top players. Now, do you know what they need? Is they want structure. Let's be clear. Don't you think I don't want anybody for a second thinking there's no egos at that level. And what you need as a manager is be clear. And I liked what Lampard did with Azpilicueta going, Tammy, not your penalty. I don't care if we 2-0 up. Get the hell out. Jorginho's our penalty taker. So here's how you need to do it at Chelsea. Even at that level, there must be an apex dog. When things go wrong, Pulisic's the guy. I don't want to hear about Havertz, and I don't want to hear about Ziyech and Werner, and I like Werner, but the order is clear. Pulisic, Werner, N'Golo, Kante. Those are your three best players. It's not negotiable. Don't negotiate it. Don't try and adjust on the fly. Be very clear that when things go wrong, Pulisic needs the ball. Not how do you feel, Ziyech. Not how do you feel, Havertz, Werner. Don't do too much. You're the icing on the cake. The cake is Pulisic. Chelsea get that right. They're top two for sure. But Pulisic is the dog, and he must be able to have free reign. And when things go wrong, Pulisic. He is the apex. He is the number one outright. If Chelsea don't get that right, we've seen where it goes. Last season, it was kind of by committee, right? It was kind of by committee. Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, all right, the kids, Reece James. But now it's time to win. It's not time to make top four. It's time to win. It's time to be top two. It's time to push Man City for the league. If Chelsea don't do this, top four becomes a struggle. Because it's a lot of egos and a young manager who's already shown signs he's struggling with big personalities. The Rudiger situation's getting ugly. I don't like where that's going. Lampard's shown me is don't know if he's got the personnel management right. Don't know if he's got that right. We'll see. This season, we will see. There is no place to hide, and Lampard's reputation is not big enough for this season to be another get away with it season. Pulisic, Werner, Kante. Simple. Now, to the defending champions, you need to be very, very clear on one thing. 7-2 wasn't just a defensive thing. For those who watched it, they lost 7-2 to Aston Villa. That wasn't just a defense thing. Sadio Mane wasn't there. I never want to hear anybody say Mo Salah is the best player. Mo Salah is this. Stop being obsessed with the numbers. Mo Salah is the icing on the cake. Do you remember in school, the guy who doesn't pass, you call him a glory boy? That's Mo Salah. He does the nice stuff at the end after everyone's kind of done the hard running, doesn't defend, doesn't hold the ball up, gives you absolutely nothing outside of the goals. It's Alan Shearer all over again. I'm sorry, I can never put Alan Shearer in the same department as Henry, as Drogba. And I know the British love him. Oh, look at the goals. Look at the amount of... It's a team sport. I care about winning. I care about winning. And if the manager holds you back, players need to be self-aware. Shearer was not self-aware. He just cared about numbers. I'm sorry. People don't like to hear it. But for Liverpool to win, to be successful, because I think last season wasn't Liverpool running away with the league. Everyone else was so bad. So they never really came under pressure. There was no pressure on Liverpool last season. I think we're going to see it this season. And now this is where you need the structure. And I think this will be a good test. This will be Jurgen Klopp's toughest season ever as a football manager because he's never been the apex and the hunted before. When he won at Dortmund, it was kind of nice. It was like, okay, well, the underdog story. They won 2 league titles in a row. That's kind of nice. Lost the Champions League final. Oh, well, you know, he did well and he's a cheerful manager. But now it's real. It's Liverpool. It's a legacy club. And we expect to win now. That's very, very different to everyone's happy for you. Now everybody's after you. And you know what happens in life. When you win, everybody wants to be you. We'll love you till you're there, and then we'll try and burn you down. Now we're going to see Jurgen Klopp. Is that boisterous personality? What's he like behind closed doors? Is it structured? What's the story? And now he has a hard decision to make, right? Is Mo Salah is clearly, in his mind, the animal. And we saw, if you watched it as a Liverpool fan last season, you saw the fight with Sadio Mane, pass me the ball. Because Salah didn't pass the ball, and I think they were like 3-1 up. And Mane went off and lost his drag. Those things matter. You better believe he's seething. He is seething. By the way, if you watch basketball, Kevin Durant famously last season with the Golden State Warriors, everybody thought the fight with Draymond Green, where Draymond said, we won before you got here. Everyone thought, that doesn't matter. It's in the heat of the moment. Folks, I have a friend who's got a great saying. She always says to me, there are two people that'll tell you the truth: drunk people and angry people. Draymond was angry, he was under pressure, and he revealed himself. KD, we don't really need you here. That's when you need the structure. So here's my order. It's got to be Mane, Salah, Firmino. Those are your three best players. Sadio Mane, build the team around Sadio Mane. Make Mo Salah understand right now you are the icing on the cake and not the cake itself. And that's going to be tough. That's a tough sell. Imagine going to Mo Salah right now and telling him, listen, we're probably going to take about 10 goals off your plate because we need to win. So we need the ball at Sadio Mane's feet all the time. And by the way, when you get it, could you maybe lay it off to Sadio Mane? Because the game goes through him because he can actually hold the ball up. He's got vision. He can pass. He's not just... And Salah's brilliant, by the way. Great finisher and tremendous pace, tremendous close ball control, and his dribbling is fantastic. But that's more icing on the cake is what happens when it's 1-0 away at Barcelona. We need the ball at Sadio Mane's feet. He draws attention. He draws fouls. He knows how to shield the ball. All things Salah cannot do. Now, Salah's awesome on the back end. Mane does all the hard work, through pass, one-on-one. I mean, you're toast as a defender. That's a nightmare. On an island with Mo Salah is a nightmare. In the box, he's got you. He can go left, he can go right. He's an unbelievable finisher. Unbelievable finisher. Great penalty taker. But it goes Mane, Salah, Firmino. And if it doesn't go that way, I think Liverpool could unravel this season. Because you saw signs last season. When Mane got angry, you better believe that is... And that's just going to take another pressure moment. It's 2-1. You're away at Tottenham. Salah through a one-on-one. He could easily cross it to Mane. Look out for it this season. It's a constant theme. And we've seen Mo Salah's maybe the most selfish guy in the world. Okay, you might say striker mentality. And he doesn't cross, and the keeper saves it. You watch Sadio Mane go off. And that could be a problem. So for me, Liverpool, make it clear. Mane, Salah, Firmino. Those are your three best players, and that's the order. That is the order. And my last team, I think we saw last season the problem. What happens when you don't have an order? So when you've got talent and no order. Right? The first two seasons when Man City won the league, that was easy enough for Pep because he overwhelmed the league with that intensity and that sort of Barcelona level and just that collection of talent, the ability to rotate. Bilva, Mahrez, Leroy Sané, Jesus. But now the league, listen, people at the top figure you out. People at the top figure you out. Everybody thought BlackBerry would last forever, thought Kodak would last forever. Apple figured it out. Right? Apple think they're going to last forever. Huawei has figured it out. Like if Apple aren't careful, Huawei is here now, right? Everyone thought Amazon, they're going to dominate forever. Jack Ma said, hold my beer. Hold my beer because we're Alibaba and we're coming. Right? The day you start to think you've figured it out, but this is at the very cutting edge. This isn't at we have to go on yoga retreats to get to our spiritual centers, is at the brutal end of business. To win, right? To win is you're never satisfied. It's never over. It's never a matter of, oh, I'm going to go home and cry into my blanket. No one cares. To win, you have to keep winning. And this is where Alex Ferguson and Mourinho have separated themselves in the last 20 years. Is we win, I don't care, get rid of people, let's refresh. We win, get rid of people, let's refresh. While you're winning, and there's simple psychological theory, right? When you're at your happiest, you should do the psychological analysis. You should delve into your anxiety. You don't wait till you get to the anxiety to when things go wrong. That's not the best time to analyze it because it turns out psychologically, when you hear the word no, when you hear negativity, psychologically you shut off. You do not take feedback. You cannot grow from that position and your shield is up. It's an evolutionary thing. Go and look it up. There's a study that came out, I read it a couple of years ago, is when you hear no or negative, it takes 18 positive affirmations to get you back to neutral. So for every no, you need to hear 18 yeses, which is why they say, always analyze yourselves, always analyze a loss, always analyze, always critique when you win. Not when you lose, when you win. And City failed to do that. Because last year, what were they doing? Why were they rotating Sergio Aguero? And I'm talking pre-injury. I'm talking pre-injury, by the way. I'm not talking about Aguero had his niggles after December, after January, closer to lockdown. Why were they rotating him? I don't get it. I don't understand Pep, because he never rotated Leo Messi. And I guess, for Pep, he likes the sort of number 10, the winger, to have the possession of the ball. He's never really had a number 9 or really been to a number 9. Right? He let Samuel Eto'o go when Samuel Eto'o was quite clearly the best striker in the world. Pep's never had the striker as his point man, as the guy, which is why Lewandowski struggled under him at Bayern Munich, because he was never the guy. He brought in Xabi Alonso, and he played the game of Xabi Alonso, right? He likes that control in the midfield. Remember, he likes to control in midfield and overload either side. If you'd like to see how Pep Guardiola plays his football, there's a really great Thierry Henry video where he explains how Barcelona, the great Barcelona of Pep Guardiola, that first iteration, Xavi, Iniesta, when Busquets got called up, Pedrinho, how they create the overload. So you can Google that. It was on Sky Sports a couple of years ago, where Henry breaks down how Barcelona create the overload. What you need, though, is you need people that can retain the ball in midfield. But Pep was in a dilemma, right? I love David Silva. I think he's the greatest number 10 that the Premier League's ever seen, and the greatest playmaker the Premier League's ever seen. I like Bernardo Silva. I do. I like Riyad Mahrez. I like all of these guys. Sergio Aguero is top 3 strikers the league's ever seen. Top 5, certainly. Top 5, certainly. Don't rotate. You don't rotate your best. City need to now lock in the order right now, because this is why things are going wrong. And this is a test for Pep as well. Are you flexible? Because the best people in the world, folks, when you want to win, you got to be flexible. Change. It's one of the things winners do. If you're in a bad relationship, leave. Now that takes strength, right? People don't like to hurt other people. But you have to change. If you want to win, change. Bad relationship, leave him, leave her. I don't care what you think of her or him. Don't deal with the ideal self. Deal with the real self. Like, hey, if you've spoken to them about, I don't want your friends drinking at the house every weekend for football, and he does it 1, 2, 3 times, stop talking. Leave. Pack your bags. Get the hell out of there. Pep Guardiola is going to have to show us now, are you flexible? Aguero, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva. That's the order. It needs to be clear. The ball must get to Sergio Aguero as quickly as possible. Whatever he wants to do, he must do it. That's how we win. That's how Man City have won for 10 years. Aguero's the apex. Aguero's the star. Everybody else is killing themselves to serve the needs of Aguero. That includes Bernardo Silva. That includes Mahrez. That includes whoever it may be, Fernandinho. Everybody must kill themselves to ensure that Aguero is in place to get the ball. No rotation. He does not come off. As soon as he comes back from injury, by the way, it's his team. Folks, there's a reason why there's CEOs in the world. There's a reason why they get the most money as well. It's not when things are nice and hunky-dory. That's not why CEOs get $10 million a year and get dividends of $20 million a year. That's not what they get the money for. That's not it. That's not why Aguero's the guy. Aguero's not there for when it's 4-0. Aguero's for when you're 2-0 down at Anfield and you're 5 points behind in the league. Aguero's for the last minute against QPR. And Man United are winning the league on goal difference. That's why Kun Aguero is the apex. And that's why it's non-negotiable. CEOs get the most money because when the pressure comes and they have to fire somebody, not everybody wants to do that. When the pressure comes and you have to make $100 million acquisition, and if you mess it up, 100 jobs are going to go. That's why we're paying you $10 million. That's why Sergio Aguero is the king. And Man City lost that identity last season. You can't win without identity. City lost that identity last season and they fell apart. It wasn't a talent thing. Pep went away from what's important. He thought David Silva is the main man. Kevin De Bruyne is the main man. Stop. Kevin De Bruyne must be the icing on the cake. I know people are going to say, oh, but he's the player of the season. Stop with that nonsense. Those awards are media-driven. Kun Aguero is the best player. And it's not close, by the way. Kun Aguero is generational. Kevin De Bruyne has had 2 very good seasons. You don't have to listen. People say I sound crazy. Just go look at the numbers. I don't get excited. Sergio Aguero has had a decade of dominating, absolutely dominating. Even now with Kevin De Bruyne, it's Aguero. Without Aguero, well, De Bruyne has been here. What's happening? Without Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, can you deliver us in the Champions League? No, you can't. Everybody tells me, and I like De Bruyne. I think he's an unbelievable player. Honestly, I don't think he's better than Mahrez, and I do not think he's better than Bernardo Silva in the Man City setup. Player of the season, that's all Alan Shearer. Don't give me garbage stuff. What happened last season? Player of the season, but your team didn't win the league. I don't like it. Folks, you got to establish that order. I'd love to know what people think. Aguero, Mahrez, Silva. Those are the 4 teams. I think they get the identity right. I think City win the league. Aguero comes back. It's his team. Forget this Kevin De Bruyne nonsense. Forget Aguero, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva. You build the team around them. And when Silva's not, by the way, when Aguero's not there, it's Mahrez's team. When Mahrez isn't there, it's Bernardo Silva who runs everything. If you're Kevin De Bruyne, you're icing. You're not the cake. And by the way, icing's useless without the cake. You're just going to get sick. You can eat lots of cake. I eat lots of cake all the time. Don't need icing, though. Make you sick. That's all Kevin De Bruyne is. Aguero's shown, folks. He will deliver you from evil. He did the greatest moment in Premier League history. Sergio Aguero. Mario Balotelli and the rest is absolute pandemonium. Absolute pandemonium. That's it for this week. I mean, or for today. I think I'd love to know what people think. So I'll take some questions. If you've got, put them in the live chat. I'll answer them. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up in a bit. Yonda says, MKT, what's up? Don't be such an aristocrat. T20 has been there and future. All right. So see, here's the thing. Let me explain it to you. I guess the argument, and this is everyone's argument, is that T20 cricket takes more skill to play. Or I don't know. Yonda, maybe you can put in the comment for me, is what you mean by it is here and it is here to stay. So here's how I always put it to people with T20 cricket. Stop getting excited, right, by fly-by-night fans. This is the mistake people make all the time, right? This is why people fall in love with Instagram influencers, and we live in a time where there's something called recency bias. If it's new, it's better. But we live in a different time. We're so bombarded now. Sixes, flying catches. Oh, these guys must be the best. You never see Steve Smith leaving 60 balls in an innings and understanding that that's a great skill. Because that's boring. You can't put it on Instagram. It doesn't go on YouTube. You never see Shane Warne bowling a 15-over spell, right? And to take 2 wickets, right? He's setting a batsman up for 6-7 overs. So you can't put that on Instagram or YouTube. So it doesn't feel like that's the skill of the game. That's the real skill. Like, it doesn't feel that way. Chris Gale, though, hits a 6. But here's what I said. Here's the order. You've got it all wrong. And I don't think T20 cricket is here to stay. Here's why. If you can play test cricket, you can play one-day cricket. And if you can play one-day cricket, you can play T20 cricket. Now, obviously, everything looks like everybody can do everything. But let me give you an example. Richard Levy, T20 cricket hacker, right? For 2 years, oh my God, this is the greatest thing that's happened to South African cricket. Where is he now? Where is he now? They are so replaceable, the T20 guys. So replaceable. Everybody says, David Miller. Oh, the best thing that's ever happened. It's like having Lance Klusener and Sachin Tendulkar all in one. It's Miller time. Where's he now? All he can do is play T20 cricket, and he's just a hacker. Can barely play one-day cricket. They figured him out. So to say that it's been there and it's the future, I think Look at the type of people that can get in. Why can Chris Gayle still get into T20 teams? Chris Gale's not a cricketer. Come on. Come on. And the way I know this is that's why there's fewer and fewer test teams. Even the West Indies are competitive in T20 cricket. That tells me everything I need to know. West Indies are an amateur and they're still competing and they're still there with it. So for me, T20 cricket proves nothing. The skill level is that there is no skill level, right? Because anybody can be successful, by the way, in T20 cricket. And here's the interesting thing. More and more as we do the analytics in T20 cricket, look at the guys that are successful. It's all the guys that are successful in test cricket, in one-day cricket. It's the proper cricketers. T20 cricketers cannot translate to 50 overs and test cricket. That tells me all I need to know. Everything in test cricket and one-day cricket is translatable to T20 cricket. The more the analytics come in, and let's not get caught up in just the one or the two, a Chris Gayle here, a Dwayne Bravo there, who's I still have never rated as a cricketer. Don't make the mistake of the great saying is, please don't make the mistake just because it looks like the real thing. Don't think it's the right thing. It's the real thing. There's something called the real McCoy. The real McCoy. T20 cricket's not the real McCoy. And it's for fly-by-night fans, and it's a commercial product. And I love it, by the way. For cricket, we can sell it to America. We can sell it to the world. It's probably a more sellable product because test cricket, dead. It's tough to watch. The ICC haven't really turned it into a product. They've kind of left test cricket to sell itself. And unfortunately, in Instagram times, in microwave satisfaction, we need it now. I need it now. T20 cricket is now. I go home in 3 hours. I can bring my girlfriend. She doesn't watch cricket, but there's fireworks. Boom, crash, bang. People are cheering, and we go. But for me, there's no craft in T20 cricket. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. I like baseball. I like things that take a long time. I like understanding what's a pitcher's control. That's who I am. And maybe it's because I'm getting old. And I am old, by the way. I'm in my mid-30s now. So I sound like old grandpa. But I can't. And I've really tried with T20 cricket. I gave it a chance. I thought, let me try watch the World Cup. It's too much. There's no skill. I just don't see it. Folks, there's a reason Glenn Maxwell goes down as one of the greatest Australia's ever had. He can't get in the test team. Steve Smith can play in the one-day team, though. David Warner can play in the one-day team, T20 team, no problem. Zero problems. AB de Villiers, test cricket, 50 overs, no problem. And I play forever in T20 cricket. So let's not get it wrong, because very, very few, and I know people always say, but look at the IPL. I'd like you to go and do a proper analytics. Let's not just do anecdotal. Go and look at the guys that have been found in T20 cricket. I was looking at the cycle of how they churned out. 2-3 years, they'll play a one-day game for India, dead. Because people figure you out. We've got too much data now. We've got too much video. A single technical deficiency, you can't play 50-over cricket. You can't play test cricket. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do, because I know what T20 cricket does to people. I know what T20 cricket does to people because it's emotional. It's emotive. It moves us. So it must be better, of course. I'm afraid not. And Yonder, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying I'm right for me. And for me, I say the ICC are now seeing why you should have taken test cricket more seriously. Because cricket's in real problems now. In real problems. You know why? Is I'm a real fan. You didn't look after me. You thought, the young kids that are coming in on Instagram. Can I tell you the reality of what's happening in T20 cricket? The youngsters, and you want them as the customers. There's no financial value. 20-year-olds don't have the money to come to the stadium to pay for what in our biz, sorry to use a business term, but an OTT solution. So an over-the-top solution, which is a subscription channel. I work. I'm 34. I can afford to pay $50 a month if the ICC were to have a subscription channel. You know who can afford it? Me. The older test cricket fan. So I know it looks nice in T20 cricket, but it's not sustainable because 20-year-olds, number one, they're not loyal, right? 20-year-olds are not loyal. That's who it's for. It's for the YouTube kids. It's for Instagram, but they don't have the money to support your product. And I know they'll say, oh, no, but we're trying to capture the market now for the consumer in 10, 15 years. I mean, I work in the business. I sit in marketing meetings all the time, and I think to myself, do these people actually know what's going on? 20-year-olds have no money and they are not loyal. Trust me, in 5 years' time, there'll be a new thing. They'll move on to that. That's what the T20 consumer base is. Trust me, I'm here cricket for the long haul. Keep me happy. And once again, let me use my analogy. I'm the cake. Let T20 be the icing. You've got it all wrong. Now T20 is you're trying to make more icing and a droplet of cake and crumbs. Doesn't work. I'll get sick. Of icing. Like deep down, we all know there's less skill in playing T20 cricket. And people say, oh, but it's condensed and the diving and the fielding. Please, do me a favor. Yonda says, T20 is a skill game and needs agility and of here and now. It gives entertainment of a new level. T20 is like a platform for them to get a chance to play in the test sides, and they have the depth. So Yonda, here's where we disagree. Right? And I think I've kind of covered it. I think it feels like a skill game. But hitting the ball for six isn't a real skill in cricket, which is why you very rarely see the same guys win matches for people, right? If we really do a deep dive, we go look at averages, and there's 19-year-olds every single season that'll have just as good a season as AB de Villiers, right, in T20 cricket. Crash, boom, bang. There's a new 19-year-old coming out of India every year, churning it out, and he'll come in, average 100, and he'll strike rate 180, right? Every year. You watch T20, you know what it is. I mean, I keep an eye on the analytics. Now, let's take that kid to Test cricket for 3 seasons. See if he's Steve Smith, Kane Williamson, Virat Kohli. See, the beauty of analytics is that we take all of our emotion out of it. And I understand we're so driven to be entertained. I want to be entertained now. And you know what cricket struggles with is there's so much to compete with now. You remember in the 90s, the product was strong because I couldn't see the English Premier League. I couldn't see the NFL. I couldn't watch the NBA live. I couldn't watch Serie A on my cell phone. So cricket's competing with so much now. They don't have me captured as a market. It's like, okay, I have to sit on TV, SABC2 if you're in South Africa. You remember the good old days. Okay, Craig Matthews and Fanie de Villiers are playing in the World Series. I'll wake up at 4 a.m. No thanks. What I'll do is I'll buy the NBA package. I'll wait and I'll watch it at 11 o'clock when I wake up in the morning. It's a new time. And I worry that cricket has got the order wrong. Keep the main thing the main thing. That you know, I think if you're in a relationship, you'll understand what I'm saying. This is what happens when you don't keep the main thing the main thing. It goes off, right? The center of cricket is Test cricket. You should be saying, oh, T20 cricket is a great addition. Now it feels like people are saying, and I'll finish off on this, is that Test cricket's an addition to T20. Folks, 20-year-olds cannot afford tickets. It's 50 Rand, 100 Rand. You think university students, because let me tell you what you're doing long term. Here's why it's not sustainable. You're asking a university student to choose between 5 beers, which is 100 Rand for a ticket, right? Or a T20 ticket. For now, he'll say yes. How many 100 Rands does a student have? For me, I can pay 200 Rand for a Test cricket ticket for the rest of my life. I have money. I'm planning. Like, you know, there's a term. You have to get your customer enfranchised. These young kids are not enfranchised. This is not an insult to young people. You never know what a young consumer base will do. TikTok, listen, remember how quickly everybody's moved? It was, okay, wow, we're on, what was it first? Twitter? Oh my God, this is going to change the world. All right, Instagram, nothing will ever improve. The young people will move. TikTok will change to that. YouTube, oh my God, it's going to change the world. Vimeo, we're doing that. As creators, we want to go there. We want more freedom. Young people are not loyal. And I know people hate to hear this. Folks, I work in the analytics space. Let me just tell you, it's very, very clear. Our consumer base, 28 and downwards, 15 to 28 is the least loyal consumer base alive. And that's my argument against T20 as a product as a whole. But Yonder, once again, this is not me saying you're wrong for watching T20 cricket. I'm just looking at it from the analytics that I've read over the last 3-4 years, and just from a digital content producer's point, and I work in Africa's leader in digital content, is that we do a lot of deep dive analytics on this type of stuff. And also I'm biased because I'm old. And I'm very, very dull. And it makes me dull. So Yonder, I think, and I have to be honest, I think you make great points as well. Ntokozo, Mr. Majosi, the king of the Zulus is back again. Hey, if there's one guy who knows rugby, follow. Hey, Ntokozo, put your social media handles in the questions, because I'll get that out there, because I think your opinions on rugby are phenomenal. Ntokozo knows his rugby, one of the greatest rugby minds. We've had Ntokozo since the beginning as a fan, and my God, listen, as a closer guy, you know how difficult it is for us to compliment the Zulu people. But Mr. Majosi truly knows his rugby. Ntokozo says, I just think that it is different. You can enjoy Test cricket and T20 cricket. It is different. I totally agree with you. I think because I'm a little bit older, though, I'm unable to do that. You know how old people are. The older we get, the more we get set in our ways. And for me, also, I don't like too much of a good thing. I don't like too much of a good thing. Do I need Big Bash, IPL, Caribbean, Pakistani, Mzansi 2020? Do I need that? Because I hate sitting in marketing meetings, but there's a saturation point to everything, isn't there? There's a saturation point to everything. That's just my point. But Ntokozo, you're dead right. You're dead right. And listen, if there's one thing I lack, it's emotional intelligence. So perhaps I'm just showing how narrow-minded I am. You can enjoy all of them. If you've got the emotional capacity and you are willing to say, I don't mind if guys are just hacking it up for 20 overs. For me, I'd rather watch, I'd rather rewatch Shane Warne bowling spells 20 years ago and setting batsmen up. And, fourth day, there's nothing better than me, a spinner. Like the battles I remember between Shane Warne and Sachin Tendulkar at the SCG. And then you got Stuart McGill at the other end and Tendulkar doing his best to see that off. For me, there's something more there when the pitch is roughed up and you need 150 to win at the SCG and the Australians are on your back. And Steve Waugh's barking at you, and Merv Hughes is barking at you. That's the cauldron. When it's the Ashes, it's all on the line, and you're 150 for 6, and you remember the great innings that Steve Waugh would play, Ricky Ponting would play, Michael Vaughan would play to turn it around and swing games over 5 days. But you can enjoy it. It is different. It's certainly different. Lulama say CSA is run Eskom style. People that say it's run like a spaza shop is disrespectful to spaza owners. Lulama, you've called me out well there. I'm so sorry. If you're a spaza shop owner, I've constantly compared the CSA to spaza shop ownership, the way it's been run. And that is disgusting of me. Because if there's anybody in the world who's actually great at looking after money, it's poor people. Nobody is better at looking after money, spreading the love, looking after their kids on $200-300 or $2,000-3,000 a month, and somehow every day they make sure that their kids are fed, 2 or 3 kids are fed, they've got school uniform. So as spaza shop owners, I apologize. Now, when you say Eskom style, that's far better. CSA, and I have a family member who is working on the administration board for, she says it's getting ugly. She's part of the panel that's come in. It's all I can reveal is some of the what you call corporate governance or lack thereof is astonishing. Spaza shop owners, I apologize. Lulama, that's a great point. I will never, and I should never have spoken down on spaza shop owners, because actually they run a tight ship. They know their stock and they feed their kids. It's incredible to me. And so to anybody who's living below the breadline and you continue to send 3 kids to school with uniform, polished shoes, a blazer, clean, good food, poor people are better than anybody at looking after money. So CSA is run Eskom style. They've got no power. But the coal is wet. The coal is wet. Well said, Lulama. Yonda said, good valid points there. Now to rugby. Should we not have a new format for RSA, as currently the old format is getting old and needs new ways? So, Yonda, I think you make a great point. as the Khorzas might say, like myself, I'm a Xhosa would say uitkanile mtasekhaya. I think you've nailed it. But I think the new isn't necessarily going completely new. The adage is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. For me, I'd love to hear what rugby fans think, but I've always thought, I don't even think, even in the amateur way, Saru has been running it for the last 10 years. We've never really tried to be professional with the Currie Cup. Why are we not playing games in America, right? Why aren't some rugby games played in Nigeria? Why aren't we exploring different markets? The Currie Cup final, I'm sorry, by now we should have played one in Nigeria, in Ghana, in England, right? In Stockholm. Like, why are these things not happening? It's not a local brand. And I don't want to get too deep into the weeds about the structure of SA Rugby, but essentially, I'm sorry, it cannot make sense that the chairman of Border and a club somewhere in the middle of, and I'm from the Eastern Cape, my family's from the Eastern Cape, but you can't have some club in the middle of East London where their board members have the same voting power as the Bulls. What? Excuse me? Now, this egalitarian notion of everybody deserves a chance, that's fine in your home, folks. That's fine if business needs a sharp end. The reason you need structure is for when things go wrong. Because now, look, now you know what? Nobody goes to the EP Kings now and says, guys, you've drained our resources. Right? Because when things go wrong, this is when you need accountability. And now you've got guys in Border who are earning 30, 40,000 Rand. I don't think Saru or South African rugby has ever been professionally run. So, Yonda, I think you are 100% right. Do we need a new format? I would say yes. Let's stop thinking local. You're dead. If you're still thinking local and you want to produce, it's like, if you into history, Zambia undertook a project, I believe, in the late 60s and 70s and said, hey, screw the world. We're going to just produce enough food to feed ourselves. Unfortunately, by the rule of economics, that doesn't work, because at a point, what you need surplus creates the room for you to, things go wrong. There is drought. What happens then? So what you need to create surplus. And what's that? Economy. You really need to be selling to Europe on top of what you have. So maybe you find ways to make more land fertile. And it took Zambia a little while to figure this out. But hey, we live under a certain historical context. My point is this, is that Saru, stop thinking local. Rugby doesn't belong to us. Blue Bulls don't belong to Pretoria. You should have fan clubs in Dallas, in New York. You should have started that 10, 15 years ago. The business models there. There's big Liverpool clubs and supporter societies here. That's a conscious effort. The Premier League is massive in Nigeria. There are official Premier League Man United supporters clubs in Nigeria, Victoria Island. I have been there to Man United head office in Nigeria. Where's the Bulls office in London? Where's the Bulls office in New York? And don't tell me it's about money, because we're talking about billionaires who are involved here. So bureaucrats, put them to the side. But Yonda, I totally agree. It is time to refresh. Do I think the format needs to be refreshed? I don't. I think what we can do, strength versus strength, let's go to 6. So we've given the Kings a chance now. Let's put them on the bench. What we do is let's go with the strong 6 that we've already got. We know who those are. And we say, okay, no relegation, no promotion. For me, I'd like to see us over the next 10 years take the game, take the Currie Cup global. For me, I think we've gone overseas too early, because I don't think internally we're sorted. You ever seen somebody, and I'm sure we all know friends like this, you ever seen somebody who's in a relationship, who's having problems in their relationship, but they can't wait to tell you what the problem with your relationship is? Folks, clean up your own house before you start telling other people what to do. And I don't think South African rugby is in a place to be playing in the top 14 rugby, and that looks nice and all of that. What happens when the French decide, Actually, you know what? We don't really like you South Africans. We'll be in the same situation again. We should be building our own product like the UK have done, like America did 40 years ago. The NFL is bulletproof now, but we have to put in the work now. We have to make people fall in love with the franchise. You should be selling the Blue Bulls to the people. Like, the Lions don't feel like they belong to me. I'm a Lions fan. I'm a Joburg. I was raised in Joburg. But they don't feel like they belong to me. Like, where's the marketing? Where's my engagement? Where's my fan engagement? I feel more connected, right, to the Minnesota Vikings, which are my NFL team, because they're constantly in touch on social media. They're constantly doing branding. They're constantly advertising at me. They're constantly letting me know what the team culture is. What's happening at the Lions? So I'm sad. But Yonder, top line, I agree with you. It can no longer stay the same. And for me please, can we go from amateur to professional? And my thing is this might be a longer conversation. Give the team to billionaires. Billionaires must own it. And I'll tell you why. Billionaires innovate. Let the bureaucrats, you should always be holding the billionaires back. It shouldn't be the billionaires coming to see the bureaucrats about, hey, let's do this. No. The billionaires, Elon Musk wants to try and send a rocket to the moon before he's asked you. And then you have to say, no, Elon, you have to sign this form and you have to do this. And Elon's got the rocket ready, by the way. Oh, sorry, I didn't know. When he didn't know. But you need people, right, operating and looking over the edge on what they call the precipice. This is what billionaires do. They build robust business models. And you know what billionaires would do? If you let billionaires be in charge of the bulls, the sharks, even the EP Kings, cutthroat businessmen, you know what they do? They'll come together and go, gentlemen, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Let's make a strong league and let's take our Currie Cup final to the UK every year. Or every biannually. Let's play a friendly in the UK against our winners and the Premiership champions. Let's have a curtain raiser. Let's go to America and play the USA national team. Let's play one in China every year. Because that's what billionaires do. Billionaires' job, how they see it, is I want to make money. I want to create the best product to make money. And that's what sport is. Bureaucrats think I want to make rules. They think limitation, keep it small, keep it tight. We have to manage it. Can't grow like that. And we've got bureaucrats in charge of a product, which is why it stayed local. You have to let people that are able to scale things be in charge. And I'm afraid that's billionaires. And trust me, we got plenty in South Africa. We've got plenty. I happen to know one who owns a big football team in South Africa. His frustration is beyond. By the way, it is absolutely beyond with some of the things. And he owns a team, obviously, in the Premier League. And I think you all know who he is. But his frustration, when we talk, he's so frustrated at not being able to do the things he wants to do with his football club and spreading across Africa. Oh, he's just lost his manager, actually, who has gone to Egypt. But okay, let's not give too much away. Let billionaires run South African rugby. Let the bureaucrats make the rules. Corporate governance. Bureaucrats must get out the way. The corporate governance stuff, that's the bureaucrats' job. Let the billionaires innovate, let them build the product, let them market it, because that's what they do for a living. They design products and grow them. That's not what bureaucrats do for a living. So Yonda, I'd love to know what you think. I've probably diverted a little bit from the question, but 100%, we need new ways. We need new people in charge. And you know what? I'd like them to be brave with the next CEO of, number one, the Currie Cup. I'd like them to have an NFL-style commissioner. I'd love a young, I'm just giving an example of a Vusi Thembagwayo type of young, enigmatic, global citizen thinking. We mustn't still be thinking, the big derby is the Bulla Samni Sharks. That's not it. We're thinking, okay, how do we get the Sharks to be playing the USA national team off-season? How do we play 2 of the Currie Cup games in China? That's what we need. We need somebody who thinks like that, who's got the business acumen to say, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to own a team, you must have at least 3 billion rand. Here are the things. Here is the plan for the league. And here's how we're going global. Here's our 10-year strategy. Here are our markers after 2, 5, 7 years. Be honest. Is Mark Alexander that person? Be honest. Is Yuri Rue that person? And by the way, Yonda, I just want to tell you, we've got it all wrong. Everybody thinks international rugby should be the biggest product. I couldn't disagree more. You've got it the wrong way around. International rugby should be the icing, right? International rugby should be the icing on the cake. And the business model exists. How do I know this? I always say this. If the international sport in your sport is the biggest product you have in your sport, your sport is amateur. If internationally is the apex product, your sport is amateur. Cricket is one of them, by the way. And let me give you my evidence. Let's call them the three biggest products in world sport. NBA, NFL, and the English Premier League. England's biggest product is not the Three Lions. America's biggest product is not the Olympic USA basketball team. America's biggest product is the LA Lakers, the NBA. What is that owned by? Billionaires. What do? They have a conglomerate. They have a commissioner. Let's make this the best product in the world. Major League Baseball, same thing. We have a commissioner. We're a conglomerate. Only billionaires can own the team. They make the product. Listen, in baseball, they call it the World Series because it used to be sponsored by the world, by the way. It's not but they've kind of made it sound like it's the series of the world. But in baseball, their Olympic team is not the biggest team. The USA national team is irrelevant, quite frankly. They don't always win at the baseball. It's often Japan. It's often the South American teams, Cuba. But Major League Baseball is the biggest baseball product in the world. NFL, that's all local. They don't care about playing internationally. They'll go to England every now and then, but you make the local product strong. Once again, what's the model? Billionaires, a strong commissioner. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Collective bargaining, and we make this thing global. The Barclays Premier or the English Premier League, the ultimate product on the planet. The ultimate product on the planet. What's the model? Billionaires own the teams. The Premier League runs it, right? And if you don't know the story, by the way, the Premier League split from the Football League in 1992, and for the reasons I'm saying. Go and look at an interview we had a couple of months ago with a guy called John Smith. He was a part of the panel when the Premier League split and started. Because the EFL, the English Football League, was holding them back. Billionaires want to own their team and take the product global. What's the model? Make the local product strong, and the international team must be secondary. Now, go to the teams that I call amateur. Cricket, what's the biggest thing? International. It's a shambles. It's a shambles. Cricket globally is a shambles. But look what's happened with IPL. Hasn't IPL gone bigger than international cricket? And it's stifling it now? Because the ICC built it around international teams. That's not the way to do it. I can't get enfranchised really in the Proteas. But I tell you what I can get enfranchised with. The Golden Lions, the Strikers, you make them the biggest team. I can buy their shirt. I want to go and watch them. You know what? This Saturday, let me go watch the boys. They're down the road. I see some of the players and the coaches at the shops. I can connect with that. There's a limitation to the national team. I can't really connect to the Proteas because some guys don't play for my area. The guys from Cape Town, there's a limit to how much I can connect with that. Any sport, go and look. Volleyball, whatever. Go and look at any sport where the international level is the highest level. It's amateur. The best product in the world. Let's look at football because that's the world's game, right? International football is like the fourth product. English Premier League, and I've said this before if you've been with us from the beginning, English Premier League is the biggest product in the world. UEFA Champions League is second. La Liga is third. International football is a distant, dying fourth. The World Cup it's a non-factor. Everybody wants to watch Premier League, Champions League, La Liga. Go and look at the numbers. It's not just my biases. If the apex of your sport is international, you're amateur. Go and look across the board. Go and look at any sport where we go, the highest level is the international level. In football, the highest level is club level. By the way, Barcelona are beating Brazil, Spain. They're smashing the pants. There's no international team that wants to see Man City. that wants to see Chelsea, that wants to see Liverpool. No international team wants any part of that. I don't care if you're Brazil, you're Argentina, you want no part of that. The highest level in the world is the English Premier League. It is then the Champions League, then it's La Liga, and by a far distance, World Cup, Euros, AFCON, who cares really? I mean, it's international break this weekend. It's nonsense. So, Yonda, that's a very long answer to a great question. To an absolutely great question. Dogozo Majosi says, you get players that are good in T20 and people that are good in Test cricket. You select the right players for the game. Totally agree. But for me, if you're a real cricketer, you should be able to play all of them. So to me, I don't see David Miller as a real cricketer, by the way. He's fun, but all he can do is play T20 cricket. Richard Levy, not real to me. By the way, I played against Richard Levy. He was unbelievable in school. They went, I think, 3 years, that great Weinberg team. He was a part of that great Weinberg team. They rolled us. They came and bowled us out for 59 when we were good in high school. They were unstoppable. I think they won every game in Standard 9 and Standard 10 unstopped. And they had 13 guys in the SA cricket team, in the SA schools team. There's only 11 in a team, by the way. Some of their second team players, that Weinberg 2003, 2004 high school team, insane. But where's Richard Levy now? So for me, here's my model. I like models. I'm a very rigid person. I like rules. I like analytics. My rule is T20 players can't translate to one-day cricket and Test cricket. So I've seen enough to say T20 is not a skill game. Now, Test players can translate to one-day cricket and to T20. Go and look at the scale of every team. You might support the Kolkata Knight Riders, owned by Shah Rukh Khan, my guy. Go and look at the guys that have done well, because we've got enough years of analytics now. So go to your favorite teams and go and look at the guys that have survived in IPL. Glenn Maxwell. You know, if you're old like me, you remember Michael Bevan. They call him the greatest closer cricket has ever seen. So he was Glenn Maxwell before Glenn Maxwell was Glenn Maxwell. Michael Bevan couldn't play Test cricket because it's a different animal. It's a different animal. And Dogozo, I agree, you pick different players for different formats. But for me, real cricketers, you must be able to do it all. I can't have you just being a T20 guy. Well, how's that useful to me? You're not a cricketer. You're a T20 to me it's just a fun time. Okay. And Dogozo is dead right. You pick different players for different things. But when we're talking at the sharp end, AB de Villiers can do all of them. That's a cricketer. It's not like, you can't tell me Chris Gale's a cricketer, folks. So stop. Like, I know it's fun. Listen, just because something is good, it doesn't mean it's good for you. T20 cricket's like eating ice cream or cake, right? It's good, but it's not good for you. And listen, I'm not a big junk food guy. I like to look after my health. I think T20 just, and I'm not going against what Ndogozo is saying, because Ndogozo is dead right, but it's empty calories to me. Because it just feels like, okay, one T20 game ends, it's another. Who cares about the result? Let's just churn it out. And once again, I can't look at David Miller and look at Steve Smith and look at AB de Villiers at the same thing. But you can't tell me David Miller is a better T20 player than AB de Villiers. If we're just talking about cricketers, I'm interested in cricketers, not mercenaries. Like Dwayne Bravo is no one to be taken seriously. Jacques Kallis could play every format and was brilliant at every format. Hashim Amla, a cricketer. Put me in everything. I prefer that type of guy. I don't like these guys 2 years in, 2 years out. David Miller's dead now. Miller time, it's not a real thing. We'll figure you out. Technical deficiencies. But Ndogozo, great point. And I think Ndogozo is probably a far more mature person than me. But I like the brutality of, can you play cricket? Then you can play everything. If you can't play Test cricket, to me, I'm sorry. I don't care how good you are at T20 cricket. If you can't make it at Test level or in the 4-day game, by the way, not everybody makes it at Test level. Can you play the long form of the game and then let that translate across? Because I want to just finish off on this. T20 guys don't translate across the board. Test cricket guys can translate on average. It's always important not to get anecdotal. What does the data say? And the data says, if you're a good cricketer, you can play all of them. That's my point. It's not to say T20 cricket should go, but I think what we've got to do is let's bring back Test cricket to the center. Let's bring down the number of T20 games. Like, let's turn the volume right down. Let's make the product valuable again. So T20 cricket, maybe we have just the Big Bash and we have just IPL. Right? Then it matters. You know why the NFL is great? There's only 16 games. And every game matters. This is why Major League Baseball is struggling. Premier League, you know why it's great? 38 games a season. Every game matters. Right? Folks, Capitalism 101, scarcity is the backbone of it all. You create interest and there's scarcity, you have success. IPL feels like there's 100 games. Not just IPL. Let me not attack IPL. T20 feels like there's 200 games a year. It's like it doesn't matter. At some stage, we call it in business the saturation point. But don't let that be said that it's not entertaining. But just because something is good, it does not mean it is good for you. And I don't think T20 cricket is good for cricket long term. It's a now thing. But you watch it. Look, I said it if you're just joining now. Folks, 20-year-olds don't have money. They can't attend cricket. You'll see what the numbers look like after lockdown. I give it 2-3 years. Numbers nosedive. IPL is an anomaly, right? That's a great product. Let that carry on. But the Mzansi League can't even carry on. There's no business model. It's not COVID. The strong businesses have gotten stronger in COVID. People don't want to hear it. Folks, I work in business. I work in analytics. I work with big business people. Strong businesses have survived. You have a robust business model. There's a reason why the Mzansi League had to get cancelled. There was no business model. It was, we'll create hype, we'll create excitement, and we'll kind of adjust on the fly. ICC, you got it wrong. SA Cricket, CSA, as beautifully put by Lulama Kabaga. He says CSA is run Eskom style. Hey, winning's a brutal business. But Ntogozo, Yonda, Lulama, thank you very much. And I think you make some great points. What do other people think? Maybe people think I'm crazy. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I need to get the hell out and people need to I must let people just enjoy it. But for me, miss me with the T20 cricket. Folks, remember, push the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, if it's your first time here. You could have been anywhere tonight, doing anything with anybody, but you chose to be with me. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the MKT Show. I am MKT, by the way. That's why the show is called the MKT Show. That's Gareth Cliff. I am the hell out of here. Have a great evening. Look forward to seeing you on the morrow.